All right, guys. So Mehdi Hasan went on Piers Morgan's show, and he clipped out this moment, and it went kind of viral because it really does sort of, expose the game for what it is here on the Piers Morgan show. Now, Piers, he does actually a lot of what we just talked about with Stephen A. Smith. Piers will do the, I'm not a right-wing guy, and I'm like an old school liberal. I'm a centrist. He does that whole tap dance. But then what you'll notice is 90% of the time, the criticism is for Democrats and liberals and leftists and the woke types, right? And, we've talked about this before, but there's what I call your nominal political label, right? That's what you say, I'm X. You could proclaim, I am this politically. And then there's your effective political label. And that is what matters more. That is namely, how do you impact the body politic? So it's not about what you say you are. It's about the things you talk about. What direction does it lead people? What does it point people? What are you creating in the world with the arguments that you're making and the things that you're focusing on, right? So we've seen this 1,000 times. Like guys like Tim Pool, for example. I'm on the left. He says that. But then like 98% of the time, he's critiquing Democrats, liberals, and leftists and creating right-wingers. This is the classic Jimmy Dore, another phenomenal example. I'm criticizing Democrats from the left, but I'm on the left, right? And then 98% of the time, all he does is criticize Democrats, liberals, and leftists and creates an army of right-wingers. So I don't care about what your nominal label is, because that's not what matters. What matters is your effective label. What are you creating in the world? What direction are you leading people? And this is the same thing with Piers Morgan. I'm an old school liberal or I'm a centrist. But here, 95% of the time, 90% of the time, I'm going to make arguments that go after Democrats, liberals, and leftists and lead people to the right. So Mehdi Hasan effectively calls out this bullshit, right? Namely, when it comes to Trump, criticizing Trump, right? Because Piers will do this all the time. I criticize Trump all the time. Really? The last 17 segments we've seen you, it's quite the opposite. And you're effectively defending him by saying, aren't these liberals so crazy, right? But watch how he catches him here, and watch how he corners him and checkmates him in a way that just exposes the whole game. Watch this.
Do you support Donald Trump suing a pollster because he doesn't like a poll result?
I think Donald Trump...
This is insane, Piers. I thought you were a free speech champion,
who he likes.
but now you're rolling over for Trump as well.
Donald Trump can sue who he likes.
Do you support it, is my question. Do you support a president of the United States suing media organizations he doesn't like?
Do you
support that, do you?
Do you believe he has a right to?
See that pivot he made? He's not answering the question of whether or not Trump should sue the pollster. He's not answering that. He switched the conversation to, well, he has a right to sue. He has a right to sue whoever he'd like. But that wasn't really the question, was it? That wasn't the question. The question was, should he do that? Should he do that? And he insists, nope, change the conversation. Well, he has a right. Are you in favor of banning him and taking away his rights? Look at how dishonest that is. All right, let's keep going.
So you're rolling over like Mark Zuckerberg as well. Wow,
do you believe he has a right to sue people?
For Donald Trump.
Does he have a right to sue people?
Of course he has a right to. But is he right to?
Okay, then we're agreed.
Is he right to? Is the
question
which you're dodging.
Then we're agreed.
No, no, we're not agreed. Do you support?
Look at Piers' face. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's caught. He knows he's caught. This is all a game for him.
Do you support his lawsuit? Yes or no?
Doesn't matter.
Wrong? It's a very simple question.
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
doesn't matter. Do you support his lawsuit? That doesn't matter.
You're scared to answer. Got it.
No, Donald Trump sues people all the time.
Do you think he's right to sue the pollster? And do you agree with it? You have strong views, Piers, but you're not telling me today.
Let's get to your strong. Let's get
I guess
to your.
You're like Mark Zuckerberg.
Let's
scared
get
of
to
Donald
your
Trump.
strong views, Mehdi.
Oh yeah, let's change the subject.
No,
so I don't have
think
to
you've
answer the
forgotten who
question.
show
It's a simple
it is.
question. Do you support Donald Trump's lawsuit?
It's not your
show.
show.
Do you support Donald Trump's lawsuit?
It's not your
against
show.
The pollster?
I'm asking you the questions.
All right. Well, everyone can see that you don't want to answer the question.
They can. They can see that I want to ask you questions, not have you pepper me with questions.
That was such a simple, direct, straightforward question. He refused to answer it. Now, remember, Piers on his show says all the time, even said it when I was there, right? Oh, the woke left. The problem with the woke left is that they're censorious and they're authoritarian and they're anti-free speech. And what they're doing is basically a form of fascism. This is what he says. Now, notice he says that freely, willingly, no problem, casually. The woke left are fascists. But then if you say, hey, I think Trump's a fascist. He tried to overturn the last election. He did the fake elector slate. He committed 91 crimes. He tried to say, I'm going to terminate the Constitution and stay in power. I think that's fascist. You go, oh, how dare you use such a word? Well, you could use it for the woke left, right? insane double standard. But notice, the main criticism of the left, they're censorious, they're authoritarian, they're woke. Hold on now. If your criticism is the left is anti-free speech, why do you have no smoke for Trump, who is the most anti-free speech president in modern American history by far, and it's not particularly close? So what's his record? Well, as Mehdi's pointing out, Trump sued Ann Selzer, the Iowa pollster, because he didn't like her results. By the way, she had Kamala up 4, and then Trump ended up winning it by like 13 or 16 or something like that. So she was wrong. But he sued her because he didn't like the poll. He sued CBS for how it edited a Kamala interview. He sued the book company Simon & Schuster for a Bob Woodward book because it quoted him directly and he didn't like it. Trump threatened to de-license news outlets that criticize him. He said repeatedly he wants to punish flag burning with a year in jail. He sued CNN for $475 million for calling election denialism the big lie. Before he was president, he sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke he didn't like. Trump says he supports, quote, opening up the libel laws to sue journalists. He called for jailing journalists who reported on the Supreme Court abortion ruling. He wants to deport pro-Palestine protesters. He gag ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. He didn't pardon Assange or Snowden or Daniel Hale. He wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy U.S. troops against George Floyd protesters. And of course, he called to terminate the Constitution, all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution over his election laws. Every single one of these things I just listed for you is deeply anti-free speech, deeply against the First Amendment, deeply against the Constitution, and Piers Morgan has zero criticism for it. Zero. None. While on a daily basis, he goes out there and harps away on the censorious authoritarian left and how anti-free speech they are, as Trump is out there, and he was the president and will be the president again, and he's a wrecking ball for free speech. Not a word of criticism. And even when Mehdi asked him directly, hey, do you support the lawsuit against Ann Selzer? Do you support that lawsuit? He refuses to answer. Well, Trump has a right to sue. Everybody knows he has a right to sue. Should he sue? Should he sue? Well, I'm not going to answer that. So we got it. Open season on the left, open season on liberals, open season on Democrats, open season on calling them fascist and censorious and authoritarian and anti-free speech. But when Trump is all those things except way worse, nothing to say. Nothing to say. And this is the way the game is played, guys. This is the way the game is played. You have the Republicans are all in with MAGA, period. The Democrats are either fully capitulating or semi-capitulating to MAGA. And the media, they're MAGA, if it's Fox News, Newsmax, One American News Network, Daily Wire, online right-wingers, etc., Russell Brand types, etc. They're either MAGA or they're false equivalents all day. CNN, even MSNBC at this point, to look at Mika and Joe, right? And then you have these assholes. I'm holier than thou, I'm an old school liberal, I'm a centrist, but here, 98% of the time when I make a political point, I'm going to back up MAGA and shit on liberals, Democrats, and leftists. Are you sick of this shit yet? Are you awake yet to how this works? You should be. You should be. It's going to be for 4 fucking years. We're going to be dealing with this bullshit. 4 years. 4 years. And unfortunately, there's only a handful of shows like this that'll tell you the truth and actually give you information and facts. It's disturbing.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.